On this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, Bobby's boys with their backs against the wall after a tough trip down in Texas. ASU men's hoop trying to return to the tournament for the first time in years.
In Arizona State women's hoops, a tough loss to BYU in the midweek. They've got Texas Tech on Sunday, but Luke, right now on the wrong side of the bubble. They really need a W this weekend, looking to bounce back.
And Greg Powers' company on the ice. They're walking the tightrope. They're staying alive after a tough home split with Omaha. They head to the Mile High City, and we're going to have plenty of hockey, basketball, and plenty more on this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside Studio 6 for this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Luke Lendler, joined by Aiden O'Neill. And Aiden, I would deliver the cliche. I would say spring is sprung, but with 91-degree weather outside, feels more like summer out here.
There's no doubt about it. I'm happy to be in the studio, and you think about March, it's the best time of year to be a sports fan. March Madness right around the corner, but what's on my mind, ASU baseball, man, they're just rolling.
Off to a hot start, and like you mentioned, March Madness, ASU men, ASU women, both trying to stay alive. ASU men maybe a little bit less good of a chance after what happened this week down in Texas on a road trip that started in Waco against Baylor, a team that took ASU to overtime last year, but ended up coming out on top. And ASU got the scoring going in flashy fashion. Masama Job, backwards?
There's so much Embiid in his game, Luke. You're the Philly kid. Man, he's got a bright future. Later in the first, Tunde Yesufu, left wing triple. He knocks it down. Baylor on top 25-23.
In the second half, Yesufu bounce pass inside Powell. That's a man's jam. Puts it right on Grudovich's head. Big and one. But ASU trying to fight back. Odom with a late steal cuts the lead to 2. But maybe.
Obi Agbean, the floater, it's in. Baylor would end up going on to win this game 73-68.
And it's just a tough one for Bobby Hurley's squad that didn't get a lot better down the road in Fort Worth against TCU. In the first half, ASU's bench maybe trying to give it a spark. And look at that, Alan Mukeba through contact, through 2 and 1.
And this game was chippy all night long. Here's David Punch rolling the rim. It's good. ASU would still be on top at that point.
In the second half, Odom swings at Mayus in opposite court. And you know, I see the Embiid. I really do. I see it right there on the fadeaway. Cuts the lead to 5.
Off one leg. That's just so tough. Then Mo Odom the other way. Dump it off. Santi Truitt with the deuce. Arizona State was hanging around.
But TCU would put it on ice here. Harding to Robinson. And a big win for the Horned Frogs home. 90-78 over the struggling Arizona State. When Sir Isaac Newton developed his theory of gravity, you'd think he would have spent more time considering outliers. Particularly the curious case of Sun Devil basketball, whose 160-pound point guard has shouldered more and more weight as ASU has embarked on a roller coaster campaign. For more on the Bronx Kids' burden, here's Casey Smith.
How is a team so volatile that one game it can beat the number 13 team in the nation, and the next it can lose to some of the Big 12's worst? Well, it has to do with ASU's reliance on Mo Odom. Now, it might seem obvious to say a team is reliant on its best player, but there's more to the story here. Leading the team with 17.2 points per game, and more critically, 5.9 assists per game, Odom is taking on a ridiculous share of the team's offense. Bobby Hurley offenses usually don't have this much in one guy's hands. At ASU, Hurley has never had a player average more than 5 assists per game. On top of that, the gap of 3.3 assists between Mo, who leads the team, and second in assists Noah Musin at 2.6 is the largest gap between first and second in assists in the Bobby Hurley era. To top it off, ASU as a program hasn't seen someone average more assists than Mo since 1997-1998 when Allen Lewis had 9.2, a program record. Outside of just ASU, this level of passing responsibility is pretty unusual too. Odom has accounted for 41.9% of the team's assists, only being surpassed in the Big 12 by Texas Tech's Christian Anderson in terms of percentage of team assists. All this to say that when a team relies on one player to make so many decisions, so many passes, and so many choices, The results can be strong when he succeeds, but dire when he fails. As it sits right now, with a lack of playmaking options, the Sun Devils will have to be content to go with Mo. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Casey Smith.
It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, as the old saying goes. And for Arizona State men's basketball, that has defined their season in the final year of Bobby Hurley's deal. Inconsistencies galore. Our Jaden Ricken has more.
Unless they can win the Big 12 tournament, it seems like ASU men's basketball might be looking through the window at March Madness this year. Throughout conference play, the team has been unable to find success consistently, even when Bobby Hurley is in his element. But the one positive that Sun Devil fans might still be able to cling on to is that they can compete with Big 12 opponents, if only for the first half. All the way back in their first face-off against the Wildcats down in Tucson, Mo Odom and his squad teased what they were capable of. In the first half, the defense was about as good as you could expect against the top team in the country, and they did that by limiting freshman forward Koa Pete. But this game would prove to be much more of a marathon than a sprint, as in the second half, it was Pete's game for the taking. He went 7 for 7 from the field, and it didn't help that ASU's paint defense started to crumble as U of A rallied with momentum, scoring 46 interior points across the entire affair. But out of all of their second half collapses, their game against Baylor, the third worst team in the Big 12, might have taken a cake. Up by 8 at the start of the second half, the Sun Devils would drop from an amazing 41.7% at the three all the way down to 12.5% before eventually losing 73-68. Hurley himself has said the team can't win when they shoot at that low of a three-point rate, so what changed from the first half? Well, their biggest switch was their hesitancy to go inside the paint. On this play coming up from early in the second half, Masamba Job will have a mismatch down low in the paint. He's probably got a solid 6 inches on the guard going up against him, but instead of giving it to him, Johnson dribbles around, looks up at the shot clock 1 second, throws up a brick. This happened throughout the game and it extended over to the three-point as well. The team has been hesitant to pass it inside, and it doesn't matter how much you're up at half by, the Sun Devils won't cross the finish line with the type of fall-offs they've been having. And look, while things probably aren't going to improve overnight, if they do, and if the team can somehow translate that momentum into winning the Big 12 tournament, it might have shown that maybe it was the small mistakes holding them back this whole time. But until that changes, Bobby Hurley and his Sun Devils will likely miss out on the premier tournament of college basketball for the 8th time in his tenure. Back to you.
After 3 wins in 4 games for Hurley's squad, has ASU fans thinking, is it the shoes? Well, the Sun Devils have now dropped consecutive contests to Baylor and TCU, and even a grainy 90s TV could show just how tough ASU's road ahead is. Our Julian Corey has a blast from the past on the Sun Devils' future.
After falling to TCU, Arizona State hits a pivotal stretch of little margin for error, as any more slip-ups could jeopardize its seeding for the Big 12 tournament, and in order to regroup quickly, it needs to pick up the sticks and start heating up. For Arizona State, the dynamic duo of Mo Odom and Masamba Diop have been its bread and butter all year, with Diop's dominance on the glass and ability to power through defenders, paired with Odom's shiftiness in the backcourt. The duo must lean on their chemistry if the Sun Devils want to compete with the best. Let's take a look at the jam-packed schedule they have on the horizon. ASU opens up against an elite scoring duo of Terrence Brown and Don McHenry from Utah, both posting shooting ratings of 4.5. Brown is a multi-level threat, averaging over 20 points per game, which ranks among the Big 12's top scorers. McHenry is lethal from deep, dropping 23 points in its most recent meeting with ASU. The Sun Devils held Brown to just 6 points in that matchup, but any lack of defensive discipline could prove costly. Up next, the Jayhawks feature freshman phenom Darren Peterson. At 6'6", his 5-speed rating and 43% shooting ability from behind the arc is lethal to anyone trying to step in his way. Flory Bidunga, the center that has completely changed the Jayhawks' interior presence, averages nearly a double-double a game. Simply put, if Peterson is the sword, Bidunga is the shield. And of course, there's Iowa State. The 6'8 junior forward Milan Momcilovic currently leads the country with a 51% three-point percentage and already has multiple games this season with 8+ threes made. The identity of the team, however, is senior guard Tammy Lipsy. He's a consistent triple-double threat, averaging 13, 4, and 5 a game, and completely controls the Cyclones' pace. Arizona State will most definitely be battle-tested during this stretch, but if it wants to compete with the best, it's going to have to be resilient. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Julian Corey.
All right, time for Arizona State women's hoops. Wednesday night hosted BYU, one of the final games for Molly Miller's squad at DFA. They've dominated there, though, Luke, and they did so in this first half. Poa into Kyera. The floater drops. Arizona State at that point up 2-2. And then a throw ahead to Gabby Elliott. Now 11-6 on the deuce on the leak out. Now to the second quarter. Jaya Levette to Williams. The jumper in the mid-range makes it 17-12 Sun Devils. And defense turn it to offense. That's been the calling card for Molly Miller. But Marley Waschnitz gets her shot blocked. Now to the third quarter. BYU would begin to take control of this game. Knocking down the three is Delaney Gibb. We go later into the half. It's Barber knocking down the triple, and they continue to pour it on. The momentum completely swaying. Later in the fourth, one pass, the extra. You love that, Luke, knocking it home, and the celly in front of the crowd. Just before the game concluded, Arizona State with a glimmer of hope. Marley Waschnitz on the deuce that would cut the deficit to 3. But BYU would hold on. Curtains on the floater. BYU gets it done 66-61.
It was definitely a tale of two halves. I thought we were the tougher, more aggressive, put the other team on their heels the first half, and then they were the tougher, more aggressive, put us on our heels the second half. That third quarter, I don't know how many turnovers in a row it was. I believe we had 8 total in the third quarter. It felt there was like 5 or 6 in a row where we just didn't handle that matchup zone very well.
The Molly Miller era in Tempe has truly been all sunshine and rainbows. A beautiful day, 75 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. And despite the Sun Devils' tournament hopes being in question, Brady Foxwell highlights the importance of putting this season in perspective.
On Sunday, Arizona State travels to Texas Tech to conclude the first regular season under Coach Molly Miller. And as of right now, the Sun Devils are on the March Madness bubble. But a win on Sunday and a strong performance in the Big 12 tournament would really help them. But instead of looking too much at the future, let's look back on a season that has been nothing short of historic. First, let's go all the way back to March 26, 2025, where Coach Miller made her presence known on campus.
Let's go! Like, you're gonna be my people. You know, I wanna rally and do a little huddle jump with you after games. I wanna meet you before games.
And after grabbing some new transfers, November arrived, and it was time to see if the hype was real. And well, Arizona State won its first game against Coppin State 67-53. A few games later, against UNLV, Marley Waschnitz kept the undefeated season alive when she hit the Hail Marley. From there, Arizona State didn't lose a game until January 3rd, marking a 15-0 start. That's good for the best in program history. And for the Inferno packing the stands, it's safe to say that they've enjoyed home games, as the Sun Devils are 15-2 at Desert Financial. Finally, Arizona State beat U of A for the first time since 2022, and then went down to Tucson and swept the Wildcats for the first time since 2018. No matter what happens in the upcoming days, this was the best season in a long time for ASU, and it seems that the Molly Miller experiment is ahead of schedule. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Brady Foxwell.
Get out the prediction machines. Start brushing up on your tiebreaker rules. March is right around the corner. For ASU women's hoops, which finds itself scrapping for the final spots in the Big Dance, its next few games will be the most important yet in the opening chapter of Molly Miller's Sun Devil story. What lies ahead for ASU? Let's turn to Harrison Fuller.
Thanks, Luke. Remember those Choose Your Own Adventure books that we all read as kids? Well, Arizona State women's basketball has the opportunity to choose its own adventure in the Big 12 tournament. The Sun Devils' path in Kansas City is fully determined by what happens on Sunday when they travel to Lubbock to play Texas Tech. If the Sun Devils beat the Red Raiders, their path in the tournament is mostly full of sunshine and rainbows. With a win, ASU would be the 7th seed and would get a first-round bye. Then, for its second game, ASU would play the winner of BYU-UCF. And odds are the 10th-seeded Cougars, who are 2-0 against ASU this year, would knock off the 15th-seeded Knights. BYU has had the Sun Devils' number this year, but if the two meet in Kansas City, maybe it'll be, for ASU as the old saying goes, third time's the charm. Now, if the Sun Devils lose on Sunday, their path becomes a bit more clouded. They'd be the 9 seed, which means they don't get a bye. They'd play 16-seeded Houston in the first round, who they beat by 25 earlier this year. And assuming ASU cruises past Houston in the first round, it would then play 8th-seeded Utah in the second. ASU went 2-0 against the Utes this year, so playing them seemingly bodes well for the Sun Devils, but you'd take a bye over 2 easy games any day of the week. ASU has a lot to prove against Texas Tech on Sunday, but whatever happens, they sure have a wild adventure ahead of them. Guys?
All right, let's go to the ice right down the street to Mullet Arena, and that's Cruz Lucius. You're going to hear me say his name. You're going to see his face a lot, and he gets the scoring going. 4:24 into this one, lights the lamp for ASU, gives him a quick lead. Omaha would respond quickly, though. Marcus Wynn and then Brent Highland, who you just saw, gave Omaha a 2-1 lead. It was part of a 4-goal run for the Mavericks, who would take the opening contest of the series 4-2. Now, if you're Greg Powers, you got to have this one, and Kyle Spillane with a big goal in the first period. That would make it 2-0. Fast forward to the second period now, the Mavericks clawing back as they get that one right in front of the net and dumps it in the back, lighting the lamp again. That was Tyler Rollwagon before Bray and Bozer will equalize, and then Rollwagon will go again. Oh my goodness, my head's spinning with this, Aiden O'Neill. It's 3-3, we're going into the third period, and now it's Cruz Lucius' time to shine. Gets the puck, crosses the blue line, little deke, little whoop right by him, dumps it off. Bennett Shimmick, there it is. 5-3 ASU, disgusting move from Cruz Lucius, and of course, he's going to add a goal of his own. A big 6-3 win for ASU. They stay alive, and here is Greg Powers.
It's embarrassing, and hopefully our guys are embarrassed about it. Again, everything's the same messaging, it's the same everything. A year ago, at this point, we were still fighting to win the damn thing. And it's crazy. We never thought we'd be here, but here we are, and there's only one thing you can do,
To be considered a hard worker, your parents may say, just put your head down and keep going, son. Nike says to just do it. And in Greg Powers' case, osmosis. One that brings me back to AP Bio even thinking about it. Here's Easton Stockford.
Success just doesn't happen by osmosis.
Osmosis, the passive movement of water molecules across a selectively permeable membrane, not related to hockey or success at all. However, in this case, Greg Powers means that success doesn't just happen. It requires work and action. Now that, we can relate to hockey. ASU had a stellar inaugural season in the NCHC, finishing second in the regular season standings with a 16-10-1 conference record. The Sun Devils had several key pieces osmosed into the season, including first-round draftee Colin Potter, co-captains Kyle Smolin and Bennett Shimmick, and Cruz Lucius. And while those molecules made it through the offseason's permeable membrane, their success didn't, as ASU sits 1 point out of last place in the NCHC and 1 point away from elimination from the conference tournament. Success through osmosis often prioritizes consistency over intensity, which certainly hasn't been a pattern for the Sun Devils this season. ASU has succeeded in the brightest of moments, defeating 4 top 10 teams on the road, but with only 1 series win this season, Powers has expressed frustration with the team's inconsistency. On that same note, the phrase can also highlight the need for consistent action. And after being asked about how the messaging has changed throughout ASU's 14-19-1 season, Powers said,
No, one game at a time.
No consistency and no action to create it or make any changes. According to my calculations, that does not sound like a recipe for success from one season to the next. And looking at the standings, science seems to be right. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Easton Stockford.
Oh, I got to give Easton some credit. I can probably count on one hand the number of times the word osmosis has not sent my brain hurtling towards a nap. But a couple of guys that I'm sure also don't miss their AP biology days are Alex Martinez and Jacob Fredericks, joining us live from Denver, where ASU hockey has its back against the wall in its final regular season series. Fellas, what's at stake for Powers' squad this weekend in the Mile High City?
Yeah, guys, we're just outside of Magnus Arena before ASU's final regular season series against number 8 Denver. And Jacob, ASU had high expectations this year, but just have not been able to live up to them.
Yeah, Alex, the Sun Devils started the season ranked 14. That's the highest they've ever been ranked to start a season. But since then, they've had their worst record since 2020, 2021, and a lot of that's due to injuries. Forwards Jack Beck and Colin Potter have been out for the last 6 weeks, and they were actually a big reason the Sun Devils were able to beat the Pioneers in overtime back in Tempe. Jack Beck assisted Colin Potter's game-winning goal, but even when Beck and Potter were in the lineup, it's been similar problems for the Sun Devils all season long. They've struggled in the third period games. They've lost 14 games this season when the game entered the third period within 1 goal. All that being said, though, the Sun Devils still have a chance to make the NCHC playoffs.
Yeah, it always seemed like this was going to be a big series for the Sun Devils, but it's not how ASU imagined it. ASU sits in 8th place of the NCHC standings, just 1 point ahead of last place Omaha. Now remember, the top 8 seeds make the NCHC tournament, and Omaha does have the tiebreaker. However, ASU clinches a spot in the NCHC tournament with a regulation win tonight and an Omaha regulation loss. There are plenty of other scenarios and opportunities that could happen, but one thing that is for certain is that puck drop is in a few hours between ASU and number 8 Denver at 7 p.m. I'm Alexander Martinez. That's Jacob Fredericks. Guys at the desk, back to you.
There's been loads of excitement surrounding Arizona State baseball after their hot start. Now at Globe Life Field after dropping a game to Mississippi State 8-4 today. People are starting to maybe question what this team is all about, but Cole Carlone cramped. There still were some positives, and our very own Brennan Bucher was on site.
Game 1 of the AMG Bank College Baseball Series, weekend number 3 has concluded. Arizona State falls to Mississippi State, and there was optimism for Arizona State coming into this game. They have a great Oklahoma series. In fact, game 1, they blow them out with the offense. Game 2, they keep it really close with the pitching that couldn't hang on in the very end. The question was, how do you iron out those inconsistencies? And for the first 5 innings, it was clear. Cole Carlone was dealing. Then 81 pitches in, he had some problems with cramping in his legs and gave up his first run of the ball game. It was 1-0, and from there, the flood opened. The Bulldogs bats would go to town on 5 different Arizona State relief pitchers. However, as easy as it is to look at the pitching that struggled, there was no momentum coming from the offense. You take out 2 late home runs in the bottom of the 9th, the team just really couldn't get the momentum in the favor of their pitchers to go out there and push hard. Now it comes into play that you're going to need a fantastic start out of your Saturday and Sunday with limited options from the bullpen. Some of these guys will be able to go Sunday, but with 5 being used, the question is what happens tomorrow. And it'll be a tough one. Tomorrow, Arizona State takes on Tennessee at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 11 here Central. From Globe Life Field, I'm Brennan Bucher. Back to you guys.
ASU Southpaw Cole Carlone in 2025. Dominant, All-American, top 40 MLB draft prospect. But that was Cole Carlone, the relief pitcher. Fortunately for ASU head coach Willie Bloomquist, Cole Carlone, the starter, hasn't appeared to miss a beat. Our Reese Goodall dives into his dominance.
Before the start of the 2026 season, one of the biggest questions surrounding this Arizona State baseball team was whether or not junior lefty Cole Carlone would be able to adapt to his new role as the Friday starter for the Sun Devils. Prior to this season, Carlone had only started 2 games in his entire collegiate career, both of which came at the back end of his freshman season. While Carlone showed promise last season, it was still unclear if he could be what head coach Willie Bloomquist and pitching coach Jeremy Accardo have been looking for on the mound. Yet through 2 starts this season, Carlone has shown early signs of fulfilling his potential as a starter for the Sun Devils. In the season opener against Omaha, Carlone delivered 5 innings of 1-run ball while only giving up 2 hits on the night. Bloomquist promised to raise his pitch count for Game 2 against St. John's as Carlone finished with a career-high 6 innings and 9 strikeouts on the night. Carlone had to fight through adversity to get there though, as he met trouble in the 2nd and 3rd innings, but got better as the game went on, striking out 4 of his last 6 batters faced while maintaining his 96-mile-per-hour fastball velocity. If Carlone can continue pitching like this, it will be more than a welcome sight to the Maroon and Gold faithful. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Reese Goodall.
His name is Willie Bloomquist. He's killed the competition in his way, and anyone standing in the Sun Devils' path does so at their own risk. At this point, The opposite side of the Arizona State dugout has to choose their fate. Here's Mia Bensich.
If you've ever seen The Princess Bride, you know the line, "You've fallen victim to one of the classic blunders." And right now, that's the dilemma for anyone facing Arizona State baseball. Yes, the Sun Devils are no longer undefeated after their first loss to Oklahoma on Wednesday and their loss to Mississippi State today. But even at 8-2, their identity hasn't changed. You still have to pick your poison. Offensively, this team has been explosive. In the first 9 games, ASU has scored nearly 100 runs, averaging right around 11 runs per game. They've already put up 15 or more runs multiple times this season, and they continue to sit near the top of the Big 12 in slugging percentage. Coming off a 2025 season where they led nation in doubles, the extra base hits have not slowed down. You can't just pitch around the heart of the order because there isn't a safe spot in this lineup. 1 through 9, they're all producing. But if you think this is just an offensive team, think again. The pitching staff has been just as important to this 8-2 start. Opponents are hitting around 240 against this staff, and their strikeout numbers remain among the strongest in the conference. The bullpen has been reliable in most high-leverage moments, and defensively, ASU ranks among the top teams in the country in fielding percentage. They're not beating themselves, and that forces opponents to play clean, almost perfect baseball. Now here's the most telling number so far. The average margin of victory. Let's just say when they win, it's not just a sip of poison, it's the whole goblet. They've won blowouts, they've won tight games, and even in their first loss, they were one swing away. Now, the Sun Devils are in Arlington at Globe Life Field for a weekend test in the AMG Bank College Baseball Series. So what's the poison? Do you try to outscore them? Do you try to challenge the arms? Or do you wait for mistakes? This is a team with options. And when you give Willie Bloomquist a roster that can win in multiple ways, someone's drinking from the wrong goblet. Guys?
Thanks, Mia. Let's go to the club. Club Farrington, site of ASU softball versus UC Riverside. We'll pick you up in the first inning. Sun's setting, but it's still there, so Tanya Wendell's going to thieve in broad daylight. Steals second base to put a runner in scoring position. She's knocked home by Katie Chester, gets a nice piece of that one, and gives ASU a 1-0 lead in the first inning. That lead would then double when Kaylee Pond, night has fallen, still in the first inning though, would send that one deep into the outfield off the outfield fence. RBI double, 2-0 lead for ASU. Now in the second inning, boom! Tanya Wendell, that baseball had a family. Excuse me, that softball had a family. 230-foot home run, 4-0 lead for the Sun Devils. A sac fly would later make it a 5-0 lead. Now we're hovering around that run rule range. Can ASU get out early? Well, when it gets help like this from Mejia, it definitely can. A leadoff home run makes it 6-1 in the bottom of the fifth, and then an two RBI double made it 8-1, and then a Tiare Ho-Ching double made it a 9-1 victory, shut off the dub, and a big win for ASU softball. $14 wins in 17 games, 10 of 11 to open the year. ASU softball is amidst its best start since head coach Megan Bartlett took over in 2022. It's often said that winning is contagious, and as our Amelia Chacon explains, the Sun Devils may have taken the old adage a little too seriously.
If last weekend proved anything about ASU softball, it's that this team has a strong immune system. The flu swept through the clubhouse during the Sun Devil Classic, and the pitching staff wasn't at full strength, giving up 19 runs in their doubleheader, breaking their 9-game winning streak with a 9-8 loss against Michigan. All-American pitcher Kenzie Brown looked under the weather in the circle, only going 3 innings, giving up 4 earned runs, 2 walks with only 2 strikeouts. But Coach Bartlett knows this team is incredibly motivated, and they love to win. Less than 24 hours later, ASU turned it around with 2 run rule wins in their doubleheader Saturday. Brown came back, regained control, and found a cure, throwing a 2-hit shutout against the same Michigan team. And while the pitching staff reset, senior Tanya Wendell kept her bat awake the entire tournament, including a 2-run homer to mark her 200th collegiate hit. This last weekend highlighted how much depth this roster has. The team doesn't rely on one arm or one bat. 1 through 9 in the lineup, and all throughout the pitching rotation, there's plenty of options. Even when a few pieces were battling illness, adjustments were made. Despite the numerous amount of hand sanitizer being thrown around all weekend, ASU remains in the top 25, being ranked 23 in the nation this week. Back to you guys.
Arizona State water polo has been one of the more underrated sports in Tempe for quite some time. As we bring in our very own Mihaela Reynolds to talk about it, ASU Mihaela has had a very strong start to start this season, securing 19 wins overall, but they do have those 2 losses on the schedule. What do those minor hiccups maybe tell us about this team?
Well, that is true, Aiden. This team does have 2 losses on their season, but these losses come at the hands of number 1 Stanford and number 2 UCLA, who have long been dominating opponents in the Collegiate Water Polo Association. These teams usually hover in those top 5 spots, showing that Arizona is competing at an extremely high level right now. And even with that Stanford matchup, Arizona State did manage to even the score before the half, showing that they do have what it takes to play these top teams and can win them if they follow through.
No doubt, and this team, Mihaela, has already notched 19 wins. This really, though, is just the start, as conference play is just beginning for this team. What is the significance of ASU being able to play in their own pool at Mona Plummer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ASU is currently sitting at a perfect 15-0 at home, and this ASU team is winning big by an average of 11.2 goals. So with 2 of their next biggest matchups against number 4 Cal and number 3 USC, the Sun Devils need to do what they've been doing all season at home: stake their claim and let it be a difference maker when playing these top teams.
And Mihaela, this is one of the best starts of recent memory for Arizona State, and they've had a lot of them. But what can this team take from that and use as momentum going forward for the rest of the 2026 campaign?
Yeah, definitely. This team is off to a great start, marking it as one of their best in program history. As of now, their upcoming opponent, Cal, is coming off a 3-game lose streak, having a lot to prove against ASU. But if the Sun Devils can capitalize on that and the excitement from their own success on the season to propel them forward, this could be a situation where Arizona State is able to defeat number 4 Cal and come with a greater confidence to win against number 3 USC later on in the year as well.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Mihaela. A big stretch ahead for ASU water polo, looking to stay scorching hot.
When you rise in the rankings, the expectations follow suit. And for ASU tennis, a steady climb in the ITA ladder has given it tons of outside attention, but it's slightly been stymied by its inability to knock off top opponents. Our Xavier Maserati serves up a look at the Devils on the court.
The Arizona State Sun Devil men's and women's tennis teams are off to a blazing hot start. However, when the games get close against the best, the Devils find themselves in deuces and struggle to get it done. Let's start off with the women's team. The 8-2 women's tennis team moved to number 6 in the rankings after sweeping the Red and Blue Invite down in Tucson. The Sun Devils have won 5 in a row with wins over number 15 Pepperdine and number 31 Texas Tech. Their 2 losses on the year coming to previously number 2 Texas A&M and number 19 USC, who are now ranked number 8. Up next, the Sun Devils begin Big 12 play at TCU today and in Waco against Baylor on Sunday. Now, on to the men's side. The 10-3 men's team is ranked number 11 after participating in the ITA Indoor Men's National Championship. They had a tough start with close losses to, at the time, number 4 Stanford and unranked SMU, but finished the weekend strong, beating number 16 Clemson. Early in the year, they beat top 10 San Diego not just once, but twice in 7 days. In terms of rankings, the ITA's system seems to value cumulative record more than head-to-head record. This season, the men's team lost to Stanford and the women's team lost to USC, but both ASU teams are ranked higher. As well, the men beat San Diego twice, but San Diego is still ranked higher than ASU. Whether both these teams can climb to the top or not, the ball is in their court. ASU has an opportunity to land an ace or double fault under the pressure. As the old saying goes, to be the best, you need to beat the best. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Xavier Maserati.
Going against the grain, Arizona State Beach Volleyball has begun its season scorching hot, starting off 4-0 with 2 ranked victories. The same time last year, the Sand Devils were already behind the 8 ball, and our Nico Lahaki has more on ASU blazing out of the gates.
It was sunny last weekend at GCU. The ASU Beach Volleyball brought the heat. The Sand Devils, for the second time in program history, started the season 4-0. One of those wins came on Friday against the reigning national champions, 7th-ranked TCU. The Sand Devils were 0-4 in the last 4 matchups against the Horned Frogs, including last year's Big 12 championship. But the Sand Devils flipped the script, beating them handedly, winning 4 matches to 1. Redshirt senior Samaya Morin, who was ABCA's second-team All-American 1 season ago, and her partner Ava Kurinchek showed off against TCU, not losing a single set. That one-loss match would be the only one allowed by the Sand Devils, as they beat UC Davis, Colorado Mesa, and the 17th-ranked GCU each 5 matches to nothing. That dominance propelled the Sand Devils to go from 11th to 9th in the ABCA Coaches Poll, marking the second time in program history that ASU has reached these heights. Arizona State now ranks in front of the University of California, who made the NCAA beach volleyball tournament, and right below LMU, who were runners-up in it. All the Sand Devils have to do now to improve that ranking is to win the winnable games ahead, as they do not face a team ranked higher than them until they face second-ranked UCLA on March 13th. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Nico Lihaki.
Flying under the radar can be a good thing, getting counted out and proving people wrong when they least expect it. For Arizona State wrestling, they began in poverty. Now they're prospering when it matters most. Our Ashton Sharon takes a look at the Devils' recent stretch.
After an 0-8 start, Arizona State Wrestling finished the regular season 5-3 ahead of the Big 12 championships. Certain under-the-radar wrestlers stepped up for Coach Zeke Jones, who wanted more consistency throughout the lineup. 184-pounder Shea Addison had 2 key wins, including one against then number 22 ranked Oregon State, where his reversal leading to a pin tied the duel at 16. 125-pounder Renee Vigil upset number 26 ranked 125-pound wrestler Conrad Hendrickson in the Sun Devils dual meet against Oklahoma. Vigil also secured victories against number 18 Cornell and Cal Baptist. Hawks found his stride just in time. Before the Sun Devils' first win, Hawks was 0-3. Since then, 5-2, securing a premier win against then number 4 ranked 197-pounder Justin Rodemaker of Oregon State. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Ashton Sharon.
With less than a month until Big 12 championships and the bittersweet emotions of Senior Day fast approaching, ASU Gymnastics is faced with the perennial question of college sports. What or who comes next? With a plethora of talent waiting in the wings, our Charlotte Reese breaks down the Gym Devils' next generation.
Kimberly Smith is currently in her senior season and the anchor with the Gym Devils. With Smith's time in Tempe winding down, who will she pass the torch to after graduation?
Sophia El-Maman leads off the vault for Arizona State. She's been in the
Sophia El-Maman has already made waves in her freshman year for the Gym Devils. El-Maman has earned the most event titles for a Sun Devil freshman since 2022. In February, she's earned 2 event titles for vault and 1 for beam so far. Alex Theodoro finished her freshman season in 2022 with 3 event titles, but El-Maman has reached that in just over halfway through this season. El-Maman was named Big 12 Specialist of the Week for her performance in Morgantown. She is the first freshman to win a weekly award and the 3rd Gym Devil this season. Sophia has brought consistency the team needs right now. She scored no less than a 9.7 for vault so far in 2026 and notched a couple of 9.85s as the season progressed. El-Maman is that anchor for the Gym Devils to start the meets with a bang, and she's already made a big impact on the program in just her first year here in Tempe. For the future of the program, El-Maman will be at the forefront. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Charlotte Reese.
The best part of the day, Luke Lendler, top plays. Oh, yeah. Number 5, Gabby Elliott to last year Poa. Right wing 3, knocks it home. ASU would go on to lose, though.
Shoot or shoot. Hey, O'Neal, shoot or shoot. But dunkers dunk backwards. Masamba Jop finds a way every single time. I don't know.
Oh, he's just incredible. Number 3, Dean Toigo. The transfers have highlighted a big part of ASU. They mash flat out, man. Big fly to right center. ASU, those bats, electric.
I got one for you, Aiden. Toy going, gone. I like that one. And here's a cruise missile. Lucius, you saw this one already. Smooth as you like, dumps it off. Bennick, Shimmick, dink, dank, dunk. Big ASU win on Saturday.
Okay, so they can pitch, they can run the bases, they can hit, they can do all these things. Can I raise a defense? Fly ball to center field. Dominic Longo with the diving catch. Man, oh man, he's special. Arizona State would split with Oklahoma. They got a series this weekend in Globe Life. The baseball team is at the forefront of ASU athletics.
And like you mentioned at the top of the show, Aiden, a great time for sports fans, all the variants, all the different sports. And thank you so much for tuning into this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. For Aiden O'Neill, for Ratisha Thacker in the control room, we have to remind you, no show next week or the week after, spring break. You got any fun plans, Aiden O'Neill?
I'm going back to Cali like Biggie. What about you?
This guy, I'm going to Boston. I'm shipping up to Boston, visiting some buddies for St. Patrick's Day. Also, going home, visiting the 215. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great break. We hope you all enjoy your break, and we can't wait to talk to you next time from Studio 6.